In the last century, 62 journalists were killed in Turkey. They were the victims of the unsolved assassinations according to records, but the perpetrators were actually known. In the past, from Turkish press, some journalists and writers like Sabahattin Ali, Recai Ünal, Abdi İpekçi, Çetin Emeç, Turan Dursun, Uğur Mumcu, Ahmet Taner Kışlalı, Metin Göktepe, Hrant Dink, Musa Anter, and Ümit Kaftancıoğlu were killed. Journalism is hard in every period at Turkey. Journalists, writers, intelligentsia were the first to pay the price whenever the balances changed in Turkey, the country which got stuck between Europe and Asia and was made a chessboard by the countries which wanted to rule the world. After the elections in 2002, the ruling Justice and Development Party, as called as AKP, has started. Meantime, the period in which pressure on the press increased mostly in recent history. In the last decade, with the consecutive impacts towards freedom of press in Turkey, journalists were intimidated and made unable to do independent journalism. Those who wished to fulfill the task of journalism as needed were either fired or sent to prison by using the fake digital evidences, etc. against them. The common point of the imprisoned journalists is that they are opposed to the practices of AKP government. These journalists, well known thanks to their honest journalism, also uncovered the connections, relationships, and financial capability of people who created AKP administration. Particularly two of the imprisoned journalists, Ahmet Tuncay Özkan and Mustafa Balbay, are the names followed by a large mass of people closely. They achieved worldwide reports and had many awards. A researcher journalist Tuncay Özkan's researches concerning deep state, Gladio, economy of corruption, the mafia, and terrorist groups are accepted as references. Now let's see the biography of some important journalists among the imprisoned ones, who are more than 100, and shed light on what they are accused of and their current legal status. Ahmet Tuncay Özkan. Born in Ankara in 1966, graduated from Gazi University Faculty of Communication. He completed his postgraduate studies at Institute of Science, Gazi University. He started journalism in 1981, working for local newspapers in Ankara Rüzgarlı Street. He worked for Hürgün newspaper, published by Hürriyet Group. Then he took part in Cumhuriyet newspaper. After working 10 years in Cumhuriyet, in 1993, he started to work on television after leaving printed media and worked as Ankara chief of television show Arena, produced by Uğur Dündar. He moved to Istanbul in 1996. He was the chef of Channel D news desk until July 2002. In this period, he made the famous television program Politika Durağı, The Policy Stop, with Cüneyt Arcayürek on every Sunday for 7 years non-stop. He got many awards thanks to his researches and reports about Susurluk accident of mafia, police, politician cooperation. He found and published some photographs which accepted as the Susurluk evidences. Between June 1998 and February 2001, on his column named Perde Arkası Behind the Scenes in Radikal newspaper, he published many documents about unsolved political murders, mafia, corruption, and political decay. He evidenced the identity information of the criminal whose code name is Yeşil, Green, and the salary that he got from the state. His columns and researches concerning the unsolved murders and his reports about corruption were accepted as evidence for prosecutors. Some cases were opened. He used to be a columnist in Milliyet newspaper from February 2001 to July 2002. He uncovered the match-fixing scandal which deeply shocked Turkey. At the same time, because of the reports about corruption in Istanbul Metropolitan Municipality and Recep Tayyip Erdoğan, Erdoğan has started grudge against him. After these reports, some cases were opened as well, but these cases are still suspended because of Erdoğan's immunity. In July 2002, he became the head of Çukurova Media Group, but he had to leave his job because of that he had positioned Show TV, SkyTürk TV, Akşam and Güneş newspapers against Second Iraq War. He left because of the pressure of the USA Deputy Defense Secretaries Paul Wolfowitz and Richard Perle, and also Turkish PM Recep Tayyip Erdoğan. He used to be a columnist from July 2002 and December 2003 in Akşam newspaper. He took part on television shows on Show TV, like Politika Kazanı with Altan Öymen, Mehmet Barlas and Nazlı Ilıcak, and Strateji with Kemal Yavuz, and also Söz Meclisi on SkyTürk television. His anti-terror discourse created a tremendous impression. He started a campaign in order not to broadcast terror pictures on television. When Erdal İnönü was the leader of Social Democratic Populist Party, Tuncay Özkan used to be his consultant, and this lasted till İnönü quitted from the political life. Özkan has published a documentary called Abdi Bekçi, which is about Abdi Pekçi, the journalist who was killed in 1979. Tuncay Özkan has established Kanal Türk television in spite of all the obstacles by AKP government. But soon, Radio and Television Supreme Council dished out penalties. Kanal Türk is the first television channel which has bans about broadcasting commercial. Kanal Türk was taken under control specifically with the order of AKP Minister of Treasury Kemal Unakıtan. Minister Egemen Bağış and some deputies hindered commercials by making pressure on advertisers one by one. And it was learned after Matkap operation that because of a television program on Kanal Türk, a village guard family claiming to have order from AKP Diyarbakır deputy İhsan Aslan even attempted to assassinate Özkan. Recep Tayyip Erdogan said, "It's not bearable anymore for Kanal Türk" by also showing it with his gestures. That brought the end of the channel. Commercials and movies couldn't be sold to the channel. In these circumstances, many machines and equipments were put up for sale by Ministry of Treasury on the excuse of tax debt. So the channel passed into other hands. Tuncay Özkan held 56 public demonstrations and gave 740 lectures between 205 and 208. In 207, millions of people joined the demonstrations called Cumhuriyet mitingleri, Republic demonstrations, in Ankara, Istanbul and Izmir. The demonstrations created a tremendous impression in Turkey and also in the world. Each of them was like a democracy festival. Millions of people showed their loyalty to the principles of the Republic and of the great leader Atatürk. Özkan started the movement called Biz Kaç Kişiyiz, How Many Are We after 207 elections. Just in 1 week, 1,350,000 citizens has joined the movement. After Kanal Türk passed into other hand, Tuncay Özkan established a new television channel called Kanal Biz. The channel had just begun to broadcast when Özkan was arrested on 23rd of September 2008 within the scope of Ergenekon investigation. Since that time, he has been in Silivri prison. Özkan has been staying on his own in an isolation cell since 28th of February 2011. And Kanal Türk's broadcasting license was cancelled and stopped by the government. Tuncay Özkan's published works are as below. Çetin Emeç assassination, Kill That Journalist, August 1994. Uğur Mumcu assassination, Assassination Report 93-96, April 1996. History of a Secret Service, December 1996. Misuses of Discretionary Funds, Parsa'dan Story, July 1996. Seizure of Abdullah Öcalan, Operation, February 2000. War of Sheems in the Shadow of Bush and Saddam, January 2003. National Intelligence Organization, Hidden History, November 2003. CIA Kurds, Hidden History of Kurdish State, March 2004. Why has Abdullah Öcalan extradited? How was he got? What will happen? July 2005. Arab Soul in a Wound, Armenian Genocide, April 2007. His works published after he was put in jail are Ergenekon Library 1, State Council, Attack to the Republic, May 2009. Ergenekon Library 2, Confessions of a Spy, Everything About Tuncay Güney, July 2009. Ergenekon Library 3, Ergenekon, How a Very Confidential Organization is Formed, November 2009. In the Grip of Violence, Silivri Diaries, March 2011. Advices for the One Who Will Stay in Prison, October 2011. As you can see, the reason why Tuncay Özkan is in prison for 4 years without knowing his guilt is hidden in the milestones of his honorable journalism. Özkan was arrested with a group of his friends on 23rd of September 2008 for being a member of so-called Ergenekon terrorist organization. All of his friends, whom he often met, were also arrested. Adnan Bulut, who had worked with him for 15 years, was also with Özkan in the next detention room of the police station. After 4 sleepless days, Tuncay Özkan and his friends were interrogated for 50 hours and sent to judiciary on 27 September of 2008. Fake digital evidences had already been prepared and Tuncay Özkan was imprisoned. He said to the judge, "If you put me in prison, Turkey becomes a desert. Free my mind, let me cope with the darkness for enlightenment." But the result had already been determined. Tuncay Özkan is continuing to struggle for democracy and enlightenment in slavery prison as well. His 5 books, which he wrote in the prison, were published and people reacted so positively. Each of his books were in the list of bestsellers. Özkan also finished writing his 2 books, which will be published in 2012 spring. Even in the cell, Tuncay Özkan's ideas are still annoying the government, and they hit the button to separate him from his ward-mate journalist Mustafa Balbay. On 28 February 2011, in the middle of the night, the ward of Özkan and Balbay was raided by tens of wardens. They were put into a separate isolation cells. Now that they were alone and had nobody to make their voice be heard. For 1 year they stayed in isolation cells on their own without having communication with anyone. But after the reaction from public and protests, the government had to step back. They weren't taken from the cells, but had cellmates with them. There was Barış Terkoğlu in the next cell of Tuncay Özkan's, and Barış Pehlivan was put into the next cell of Mustafa Balbay's. Now that Özkan and Balbay were not alone, and they didn't need to talk to the walls. Özkan's struggle against the darkness goes on. However, he doesn't speak in trials and doesn't request release, because he doesn't know what he is accused of. That he confuted all the fake digital evidences doesn't bring the freedom. Now in his 3.5 square meter cell, Özkan waits for the 3 days that he will hug his daughter. He keeps producing while waiting. Silivri dungeons couldn't capture his ideas, mind, and his struggle and cannot. The more he produces, the more he gets free. Mustafa Balbay. Born on 8th of August in 1960, member of board in Cumhuriyet Foundation, member of editorial board of Cumhuriyet newspaper, former Ankara representative of Cumhuriyet newspaper, the writer of the column called Gündem in the front page of Cumhuriyet newspaper. Balbay began journalism in 1980 in Izmir's local newspaper Gazete İzmir while he was just a student. He worked as a correspondent in the Izmir office of newspaper Milliyet and later newspaper Cumhuriyet in 1981. In 1985, he was the chief of intelligence desk of Cumhuriyet newspaper Izmir office. And then he became the director in Cumhuriyet newspaper Ankara office in 1989. In 1992, he was the news director of Cumhuriyet newspaper Istanbul Newsroom. In 1993, he became the Ankara representative of Cumhuriyet newspaper. Mustafa Balbay is still a member of board in Cumhuriyet Foundation, a member of editorial board of Cumhuriyet newspaper, as well as a writer of the column called Gündem in the same newspaper. As well as being a journalist, a columnist, also a manager, he is the writer of 26 books about politics, current affairs and travel. He is married with 2 children. In the morning of 1st of July 2008, he was arrested in Ankara at his home as part of the Ergenekon investigation. Police who has arrested Balbay searched his home as well. After the search, his computer was confiscated and Balbay was taken from home with plainclothes policemen. He used his right to remain silent. Balbay was released on conditions of trial without arrest by the court on 5th of July 2008. He said he felt himself as wounded by terror. Mustafa Balbay was arrested second time in the morning of 5th of March 2009 on Thursday as part of Ergenekon investigation. He was put in jail by the court being accused of attempting to overthrow the government on 6th of March 2009. He made a statement through his lawyer on 24th of March 2009 and said, "I don't have a diary as claimed. Separate notes have been montaged together. Some comments were added to them and they were forged." Balbay, being in jail since 6th of March 2009 in Silivri prison, is judged in Ergenekon case accused of attempting to overthrow the government and the parliament. He was elected as a deputy from Izmir in 24th period. However, Istanbul 13th High Criminal Court rejected his request for release. Balbay wrote 4 books in prison. He is still in jail, although he disproved all allegations and fake evidences about himself. The long imprisonment time without any reason and isolation in cells have been protesting, with demonstrations joined by thousands of people. Some other journalists put in prisons as part of so-called Ergenekon terrorist organization are Yalçın Küçük, journalist and writer, accused of being the member of armed terror organization Ergenekon. Silivri No 2 L-type prison since 6th of March 2011. Soner Yalçın, Oda TV owner, journalist, accused of being the member of armed terror organization, forging documents related to state security, misusing and swindling and stealing them, Ergenekon, Silivri No 1 L-type prison, since 18th of February 2011. Zeynep Kuray, Bir Gün Newspaper, Istanbul correspondent. She was arrested in KCK operation on 20th December 2011. She was put in jail by the court on 24th December 2011. Indictment wasn't prepared. Bakırköy Women Closed Prison. Ahmet Şık, Haber Vesaire editor, lecturer at Bilgi University. Accused of being the member of armed terrorist organization Ergenekon. He was put in a jail on 6th of March 2011. He was set free after staying for 1 year in Silivri No 2 L-type prison. Barış Pehlivan, Oda TV, editor-in-chief. Accused of being the member of armed terror organization, forging documents related to state security, misusing and swindling and stealing them, Ergenekon. Silivri No 1 L-type prison since February 2011. Barış Terkoğlu, Oda TV News Director, accused of being the member of armed terror organization, forging documents related to state security, misusing and swindling and stealing them, Ergenekon, Silivri No 1 L-type prison, since 18 February 2011. Deniz Yıldırım, Aydınlık Periodical, editor-in-chief, accused of being the member of armed terrorist organization Ergenekon, Silivri No 1 L-type prison, since 9th of November 2009. Müyesser Yıldız, Oda TV correspondent, accused of being the member of armed terrorist organization Ergenekon, Silivri No 8 L-type prison, since 6th of March 2011. Hikmet Çiçek, Aydınlık Periodical, Ankara representative, accused of forging documents related to state security, misusing and swindling and stealing them, Ergenekon, Silivri No 1 L-type prison, since 29th of March 2008. Sait Çakır, Oda TV columnist, accused of being the member of armed terrorist organization Ergenekon, Silivri No 2 L-type prison, since 6th of March 2011. Ragıp Zarakoğlu, Evrensel Newspaper columnist, writer and publisher, accused of being the member of armed terrorist organization KCK. Indictment is still not ready. He was kept in Kocaeli Kandıra No 2 F-type prison starting from 1st of November 2011. 6 months later, he was set free. Nedim Şener, Milliyet Newspaper correspondent, accused of being the member of armed terrorist organization Ergenekon. He was put in a jail on 6th of March 2011. 1 year later, he was set free. Turan Özlü, Ulusal Channel editor-in-chief, accused of publishing the phone talks of Prime Minister Recep Tayyip Erdoğan, being the member of armed terrorist organization Silivri No 2 L-type closed prison since August 2011. Coşkun Musluk, Oda TV writer, accused of being the member of armed terrorist organization Ergenekon, Silivri No 2 L-type prison since 6th of March 2011. Apart from the imprisoned journalists, tens of journalists were arrested, questioned, and after being warned, they were set free. No doubt that pressures on the press is in the last 10 years are not over. Media companies were put under pressure with heavy penalties and tax debts. Tens of editor-in-chiefs, writers, broadcasters, and correspondents has lost their jobs. Some names like Emin Çöleşan, Bekir Coşkun, Uğur Dündar, Tufan Türenç, Cüneyt Ülsever, Sabahattin Önkibar, Ece Temel Kur'an, Banu Güven have lost their jobs. In last 10 years, Turkey is confronted by restrictions which had never been before concerning freedom of press. The circulation of newspapers highly decreased and news programs on televisions lose their persuasiveness. Because of the pressure on the press, people head towards alternative news sources and social media. With the euphoria of its power given by the result of the elections, AKP created huge pressure in the country. This makes AKP more unrestrained day by day. But the truth cannot be stilled. Ideas cannot be put into dungeons. The history is full of same examples. Even the journalists have to pay the price for an enlightened and a contemporary Turkey. Their ideas keep echoing freely.